Good morning, Philadelphia, and all of the ships at sea. This is your girl, Amber A, with the piping hot tea. This is my tea. What's yours? And in the words of the Academy Award-winning film, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Wow, The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Wow, I did a Freudian slip right there. More of a portmanteau, actually. Let me say that again. In the in the words of the Academy Award-winning film, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, about Tammy Faye Baker. Tammy Faye, what'd you do? I'm saying that because I don't know how all of a sudden we went from 90-degree weather where we are piping hot in our flip-flops to today being a high of 56 degrees, a low of 51 degrees, it presently being 52 degrees, and it's raining and it's cold. So I know you're listening, Tammy Faye. What did you do to make Mother Nature mad at you? I am not pleased with you, okay? I'm only being half serious, good people. I know. And I know I say this a lot, that I love the cold weather, and believe it or not, I do love the cold weather. But for it to pivot that quickly kind of threw me off a bit. Are we going to make it work? Yes, we is. Why? Because that's what we do here at Tea with Amber A, the Am Fam. I hope y'all had a good week, Am Fam. I really, really do. Good morning, Tiana. Thanks for watching. I really do hope that you had a good week. I know that I had a good week, but I know that it was an uphill week. It might have been just that I was gleaning from my kids who finished their Keystone test this week. Congratulations to all of the Philadelphia school students who finished their Keystone tests. As I've said quite a few times in Tea with Amber E, remember that test does not define you. As long as you put your best foot forward, you are doing your very best, and that I congratulate you for. So guess what, guys? It's going to be okay. You have next year if you want to improve, and this is also indicative of a good reminder. How do I put this nicely? Paying attention in class makes a heck of a difference, doesn't it? Asking questions, being a lifelong learner, being a lifelong asker of questions makes all the difference. So yes, this is a great way to remember that putting your best foot forward is excellent. But it's also a good way to remember, guess what, guys? We're going to do better next year if you don't get the results that you want. Either way, you did that. As I say to the anthem a lot, if you are listening to my show, you did that thing, my kids. And Miss Earls is so very proud of you. I do see that Tiana is watching, and that is a good reminder that if you are a Welcome Table regular, or if you're a first-time Welcome Table person, please remember that there is no Welcome Table this weekend. It is Memorial Day. And in tying in that announcement with a very long conversation I had with one of my children yesterday about what Memorial Day was, like, baby, you in high school? How old are you? Never mind, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to use this as a reminder for those of us who need to remember what this is all about. We have Memorial Day off this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, of course. So that means that, schools are closed, the banks are closed, things of that nature. But why do we actually commemorate Memorial Day? I'm taking a tea pause and coming over to my teacher hat for a second. I love a good hat. Remember, Memorial Day, just so you know, and I quote, is a federal holiday in the United States dedicated to honoring and mourning the United States military personnel who died while serving in the armed forces. It serves as a day of national reflection and gratitude with several key traditions. Number one, it honors the fallen. Memorial Day specifically commemorates those who made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their country. It is often confused with Veterans Day, which honors all U.S. military veterans, both living and deceased. Number two, its origin is a decoration day. It was originally known as Decoration Day, and it began in the years following the Civil War as a time for citizens to decorate the graves of fallen soldiers with flowers, wreaths, and flags. Number three, Americans observe this day by visiting cemeteries and memorials, and volunteers place American flags on the graves of national cemeteries. Number four, it is a national moment of remembrance. It takes place at 3 o'clock p.m. local time. This is, of course, Monday, encouraging all Americans to pause for a moment of silence. That's one I actually didn't know. So I'm going to read that again. On Memorial Day, a national moment of remembrance takes place at 3 o'clock p.m. local time, encouraging all Americans to pause for a moment of silence. And number five, as a lot of us know, it is an unofficial start to summer. Alongside its solemn meaning, the long weekend is widely celebrated as the unofficial beginning of the summer season, often marked by community parades, barbecues, and family gatherings. So, in case you're knowing that you have Memorial Day off, but you needed to remember why that day was important, why this day is important, that's what your girl is here for. You know, I'm a tea drinker and a teacher. I can't help it. It's what I do. Also, this week was pretty interesting commemoratively for me as well. It would have been the Tea Diva's 72nd birthday. I'm talking about my mother, Sylvia B. Earls. It would have been her 72nd birthday. I love you, Ma. Also, and she joked about this a lot during her lifetime, my mother had 6 sisters, one of which is a AmFam watcher, and love you very much. Hey, Auntie Natalie, I love you. But she had 6 sisters, and the first set of twins, my aunties Patsy and Auntie Pansy, were actually born on my mother's 3rd birthday. And so the joke was, my mother would say it like this: my mother would have so many children, she started having this on the same day. So my Auntie my Auntie Patsy, my Auntie Pansy, and my mother all have the same birthday, May 22nd. So to my aunties Patsy and Pansy, I hope you enjoyed your birthdays also. And again, I love my family. I love the Brewers. I love the Earls. I hope you're having a good day, you guys. Before I get off on too many tangents, today I had to go back to the English breakfast. I'm so sorry. I was like, you know what? It's a lavender day. It's a little cool outside. We're going to enjoy the calm, blah, 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 blah. And I looked myself in the mirror and I went, girl, you went through a week. You conquered that thing, and we're going to celebrate with the hard stuff. So, AmFam, again, I am also doing something I normally don't do. I'm using sugar in my tea. I say what I said. Yes, I did. So we're going old school with a good old-fashioned English breakfast with white sugar and with cream, like I do. Oh, thank you, Auntie Natalie. I'm seeing your note in the comments. I love you. Anyway, we're doing cream. We're doing sugar. We're doing English breakfast. If you have your tea ready, I have my tea ready once I remove my bag. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Spoons up, AmFam. Let's go. Round and round's a dreadful show. Back and forth. Oh, that smells so good. Sorry. Round and round's a dreadful show. Back and forth is how we go. From 6 to 12 and back again. Back and forth to smell, to stay within. Really, I'm having an aromatic moment. You have to excuse me. I know I need to stay professional, but one more time, people. Round and round's a dreadful show. Back and forth is how we go. From 6 to 12 and back again. Back and forth to stay within. I'll give you a topic during the tea moment. Tea smells so good. Discuss, because I'm going to have my moment right now. Ciao. And my heart beats so that I can hardly speak. That's so good. Oh my gosh. One thing I was reminded of this week in particular is that celebrating the little things is a blessing. We are such a fast-paced, driven, for all the good reasons, fast-paced and driven society that really celebrating the small moments is a blessing and a half. So if this is your first time this week being able to exhale, I really am glad that we are able to do this together. I'm actually going to do that un tiempo más. One more time. Again, tea smells good. Discuss. That is so delightful. Oh, my word. I needed that. And I needed this with you all today. So, especially since last week we were talking about cooler teas being prevalent as it gets warmer and warmer. And one that I actually found, believe it or not, that I want to try in the picture is a pomegranate and raspberry herbal mix that once we get started, I'll let you know. This isn't going to be until it gets warmer because, again, I'd like to do something with an iced tea flair on my show, of course. But pomegranate raspberries when I came across this week. And so when it gets warmer and I start bringing in my pictures, we'll talk. But in the meantime, between time, what a flip of events where we are able to go from talking about iced teas to now having it be cold enough to have hot teas, so on and so forth. But in any event, speaking of pivots, we had quite a pivot this week, didn't we, AmFam? First and foremost, to everyone in the Philadelphia area, because I know that Charlotte, and I have some people from Charlotte watching my show and listening, of course, people in Charlotte who have not voted yet, you're not going to vote until September, but, excuse me, in your primary, that is. But for those of us in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and vicinity who voted, thank you for going out to vote. Thank you so much for making your voices heard. And I'm going to tell you why. And I went into this a lot last week with the argument of, is voting worth it? Is it already decided? Blah, 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 blah. No matter where you fall in that argument, it is an argument that's out there. I actually was thinking on that when I went out to vote. And I had to do my homework because, again, I've relocated. And so I was like, can I still vote in my old space? And the truth of the matter is I could. So thankful. But long short of it, at least for this election, but long short of it, when I saw the results of the election, I thought, and that's what makes a difference. You don't really have to like or even believe that there's validity in voting, but Chris Rabb was voted into Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district in the U.S. House of Representatives. And by the way, in case you didn't know, did you know that Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district is rated the most Democratic leading district in the nation? I'm going to say that again. Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district is rated the most Democratic leaning district in the nation. When people show up to vote, people go into office and people get to do what they say they're going to do or something like it. And so congratulations to Chris Rabb. And again, he beat out a few people, but in particular, he beat out Dr. Alice Stanford, who, for those of you who don't know, was the founder of Philadelphia's Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, especially during the height of COVID. She is a legend. She's amazing. He also beat out State Senator Sharif Street, who is the son of Philadelphia legendary Mayor John F. Street, who really he made such a huge difference during his tenure as mayor. And in his concession speech, one thing he said, was, he, quote, counted on his deep roots in the city Democratic Party to make a difference. And yet, as we see, people are no longer just counting on legacy. Many people are looking, politically speaking, for people to breathe new light and new air into politics. And so I'm really impressed by how in State Senator Sharif Street's case, say that 3 times fast, how he really was aware of that. And my mother would put it like this. She'd say, God don't have grandchildren. That means you kind of have to plow your own way through life. You have to it doesn't mean going from one extreme to the other, where you're like, well, I don't need my family. I don't need my relationships. I don't need my community. I got me. I don't care what my parents did. I don't know. I don't want to think that I'm riding my coattails, blah, 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 blah. I got me. No. That's the unhealthy other end of the extreme. What you're supposed to do, and I think a person who does this very, very well, believe it or not, is Tracy Ellis Ross. What we do when we're given a step up, or we have connections through those that came before us, we take it and we make it our own. I know there's a huge argument around nepotism, so on and so forth. That's really not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when you have something in your hand that you didn't get on your own, but someone helped you get, and there really isn't anything wrong with that within reason. When you're able to take that and mold it into your own legacy, therein lies success. Therein lies success. So again, for all those who won in their respective spaces for this election, congratulations to you. For all of those who put up a good fight and ran a great campaign, congratulations to you. Putting yourself on blast when you are running for any kind of political leg is not easy. Not only are you being extraordinarily vulnerable and putting out your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, etc. into the ears and the eyes of the people in your community, your country, your county, your world, but unfortunately, because muckrakers aren't always kind, because the nature of muckrakers is to not be kind, it can leave you feeling very uncomfortable too. So whether you won the election or you didn't, I just want to say that I respect your decision to run. And I am looking forward to see how, in particular, Senator Street and Dr. Stanford move forward as well. So it was definitely an interesting day here in Philadelphia. And for those of you outside of Philadelphia County, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, so on and so forth, I'm looking to see how the results of your elections also affect America's democracy. Remember, there are 50 states in our union. Hello. So anyway, I really do hope that we've had a chance to exhale together as we talk about this. Woo! Another thing that happened this week that made me so happy. This past week would have been Brother Malcolm X's 101st birthday. When I was growing up, like a lot of people, unfortunately, we were taught that Brother Malcolm was the good guy and Dr. King was the bad guy. I don't think that could be further from the truth. I think that you had two men who both had this vision for freedom and approached it differently. They both had the same heartbeat for freedom, for equality, for strength, for representation, for Black people. They just both approached it differently. And so I don't think it's that one was bad and one was good. I think it's more that they both, on this side of time, from a historical standpoint, need to be respected and loved and treasured. I did post on my social media page the video at the end of the Academy Award nominated, should have won, Academy Award nominated film Spike Lee joint Malcolm X, where of course Mr. Denzel Washington gave a timeless performance. I posted at the very end, one of Black history's legends, the spouse of Queen Mother Ruby Dee, Mr. Ossie Davis, actually read the same obituary he read at Brother Malcolm's funeral, where he calls him our great prince. And I'm paraphrasing, of course, but says things as, "Did you really know Brother Malcolm? If you're only seeing him in a villainous light, you're missing the whole point of how eloquent and charming and brilliant and strong he was, how he stood up and he spoke out, and he was not afraid to say the stuff that people don't want to admit." Again, I think, not to by any means not pay homage to Dr. King. They both had charisma in their back pockets and were such amazing orators. But I think because Dr. King leaned more towards a pacifistic viewpoint, it's easy to say that Brother Malcolm did not. Wrong. It's more that he was able to express what a lot of people who did not want to be politically correct wanted to say. And as I mentioned on my show last week, after his Hajj to Mecca and his return to the States, even his perspective broadened, where he was able to say, my brothers don't all look like me. My brothers may have blonde hair and blue eyes. My brothers may speak different languages. My brothers may not be from the Americas at all, but we all are brothers and sisters. And so I love giving Brother Malcolm his flowers, even though, again, he's been with the ancestors for many years, assassinated and been with the ancestors for many years. But again, it would have been his 101st birthday. And so to Brother Malcolm, thank you. And may your legacy continue to reach beyond the stars. Happy birthday, good sir. One other thing I wanted to mention, y'all knew I was going to come to it. On Thursday, someone had their last broadcast on their talk show, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking, of course, about Sherri Shepherd. This past Thursday was her last show on her daytime talk show, the Sherri Shepherd Show, or Sherri, of course. It was canceled after 4 years on Fox. And of course, okay, I'm going to be a little transparent. I talked about my mother's sisters earlier. My mother's oldest sister, my Auntie Mildred, whom I love and who can make me laugh harder than anyone I know, would say things like, niece, we gonna watch Ratchet, okay? I'm watch my Real Housewives, and then we gonna watch Wendy, okay? What's what we gonna do, niece? You got that, baby? Yes, we gonna do that. I miss you, Auntie Mildred. And I was a Wendy watcher. I used to joke that if it wasn't my mother or an emergency between 10 a.m. and noon because Wendy came on and then The View came on, do not call me. Why? Because I'll be glued to my TV show going, how you doing? I was. So when Wendy went off the air and Sherri came on, with the way that it happened, I kind of had a hard time transitioning. I'll be very honest. But one thing I will say is that Sherri stepped into the shoes of her show with class, with elegance, and making it her own. And I have to really give her props for that. And again, on May 22nd, she shared a heartfelt Instagram video reflecting on her journey and thanking fans for her support. According to an article from People magazine, the thing is, the co-presidents of the network where she shows her show said, and I quote, "This decision is driven by the evolving daytime television landscape and does not reflect on the strength of the show, its production, which has found strong creative momentum this season, or the incredibly talented Sherri Shepherd. We believe in this show and Sherri and intend to explore alternatives for it on other platforms." Interesting. When I saw that, I thought, okay, so really it's not so much Sherri. Apparently it's really not so much Sherri. It's more, good morning, Mr. Tony. It's more that television is changing. Daytime TV is changing. Late night TV is changing. And I know some of y'all were thinking when I was talking a bit ago, she's going to talk about Colbert, right? And the answer is yes. I am going to talk about Colbert because late night television is changing too. I did try to stay up late to watch Stephen Colbert's last episode of his show. I didn't. Why? Because it comes on at 11:30 and I teach children for a living and I need my sleep. And so when I did rewatch the last night's episode the next morning, I was aware of the fact that we have that benefit. We can rewatch clips on YouTube or other platforms, streaming platforms, for example, and say, oh, I don't have to watch it live anymore. And that's, I hate to say this, that proves the validity of that statement. On this side of time, people aren't staying up late to watch late night TV anymore. People aren't going to stay in-house all day watching daytime television. Yes, there are some TV shows that are not going anywhere that are number one in their time slot for daytime TV. But at the same time, especially with late night TV, the platform is changing. Now, again, the argument is Colbert being taken off the air was purely a financial decision. But one thing I do find quite intriguing, and here the glasses come off and I get close to the camera. Look at me. Look at Am. Friday, a political figure on their platform depicted Colbert being thrown into a dumpster. And I'll leave it at that. And so, yes, at the end of the day, everything is a business. Thank you, Over the Goldwyn's Business Academy. I was paying attention. But I also find it quite intriguing that if this was purely financial and there wasn't anything personal about it, what a demonstration of irritation coming from those in leadership regarding both Sherri Shepherd and Stephen Colbert went off the air on the same day. If you can't say what is, just say Tea break. Oh yeah, we're just going to say together. I'll give you a topic. Was it personal? Discuss. One more time for the sake of emphasis, Am fam. What it goes back to for me, almost always, not just because I love my community, not just because I have an inquisitive nature, not just because I like, again, hashtag speak the truth. But one thing I think about is the fact that my kids, my students, those in my community are still watching. And they're paying attention to us as adults. I understand there's always they're joking, or that's taken out of context, or blah, 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 whatever the argument might be. But I really do think, especially to bring this conversation full circle, in watching the results of the election and talking about people coming together to make their voices heard, especially since our kids are losing more and more faith in this system. I'm a little turned off by that particular demonstration because it makes me think, oh, again, we've all heard, oh no, our kids aren't supposed to be looking up to political figures. Since when? And if I can be even more frank, and I'll be as politically correct as I can, I think other leaders in years past, they've done things of that nature, would be so criticized. It wouldn't have even been funny. We couldn't have even interpreted it as a joke or as a First Amendment right. I'm looking for leaders with integrity. I'm looking for leaders who walk humbly in their offices, who bring joy to the conversation, who people can't say that's not what they meant, but that their actions are clear as the noses on their faces, and they are screaming, not even speaking, but screaming louder than their words. And that's where I'm coming from, AmFam. It's kind of like, okay, that's your First Amendment right too. I respect it because you have to respect my First Amendment right of free speech. But I'm going to paraphrase for a second. There's a pretty infamous interview from TMZ many years ago. And I remember back then, this is pre-pandemic, I was teaching over at Russell Byers Charter School. I was teaching middle school there. And we were talking a lot about Kanye. And there were some things, as almost is always the case with Kanye, you're going to be all right, baby. You're going to be okay. With Mr. West, or Ye, I'm sorry, he legally changed his name to that. But there was a comment made where the person interviewing him, and I'm paraphrasing, said, you are allowed to say whatever you want to say, but you have real life consequences behind everything that you do say. Another way of putting it is, all things natural are in your hands. The power is in the word. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you do, because our babies are watching. And I've talked about this on Tea with Amber E a few times, but the running gag in my classroom is, by the time y'all are my age, because I'm about half your age, you are going to be responsible for whether or not I get Social Security and how much. Do not mess with my money. And so we can laugh at it, or we can be cheeky about like, oh, Miss Earls, it's not that serious. I had a long talk with a kid yesterday about them possibly having to go to summer school and saying, it's not that big of a deal, Miss Earls. At the end of the day, I'm getting my high school diploma, right? It don't really matter. I said, then why don't you just get your GED if you don't care? My mama would kill me. That's kind of the, what'd you say? My mom be upset with me. Then do it for someone who loves and cares about you. So when our kids see that there is someone, maybe you, maybe me, maybe their next door neighbor, worth fighting for, it changes their perspective regarding what they do and how they approach their day. And one kid said, well, I don't really care if I graduate, or if I do graduate with like a whatever point GPA, it doesn't really matter because I'm only going to show up for work. And I told them, baby, you need to understand something. How you show up in high school is how you show up for the rest of your life. You are making decisions right now. Are you going to tuck in your shirt if the uniform for your job demands it? Are you going to wake up and get to school on time? Or to your job on time? Are you going to act with integrity? They're paying attention, AmFam, to us. Our students, our kids, our children are paying attention to us. And if now the consensus is they don't have to see it from their political leaders, they need to see it from us. We know how to do this. So we need to come together and make sure that what they see is what they want to see and what they are impressed by, what they take on, so that when we are the ones in wheelchairs, we won't sit there going, them kids. We'll say, we did what we were supposed to do. Hold 1 second, please. All right. They'll be able to look at us and say, we learned from the best, and we hope that we've made them proud. So between us, between our kids, between Brother Malcolm and those that have put their best foot forward so that we don't make the same mistakes as they, we're going to be all right. I really do hope that you have a great day, AmFam. Again, I hope that you stay dry. I hope that you stay warm. I hope that whatever you do to love on you this Saturday and Sunday, you do. I hope that you commemorate those who gave the ultimate sacrifice to my grandfather, my step-grandfather. Again, Poppy, thank you for being in the Air Force. I love you. John Hill, I love you very much. And I hope that you continue to exhale. Remember, AmFam, I've got you, you've got me, we've got this. Really, we're going to be all right. Love and light to you all. Peace.